The Washington Mystics thought they broke the Indiana fever. After bullying Sophie Cunningham in the preseason and embarrassing them with a win on May 28th, they probably figured the fever were done. Caitlin Clark got injured, and everyone wrote off Indiana completely. I mean, I'm just proud of our group for staying with it. Obviously, we can't control injuries. We can't control any of that, but I think we had 2 really good practices this week, and to be able to come out and get a win after that, I'm just proud of us for fighting, and also just really proud of Ari for coming out and providing just some incredible minutes, 27 minutes, and she was ready. She stayed ready, and we needed every single one of those, and just really proud of the group today. But here's what the Mystics didn't count on. Sometimes when you knock down a team, they don't stay down. They get back up swinging harder than before. And on June 3rd, with their backs against the wall and their superstar sidelined, the Fever delivered the most satisfying revenge game you'll ever see. What really happened during the last time these 2 teams met that made this revenge so sweet? Picture this. The Washington Mystics walked into CFG Bank Arena and beat the Fever 83-77. But it wasn't just the win that stung, it was how they did it. The Mystics treated Indiana like they were some rookie team that didn't belong on the same court. They played with this cocky attitude that screamed, "We own you, Indiana Fever. Lose to a young Washington Mystics team, 83-77. Look lost." Without Caitlin Clark, the disrespect started way before that game, though. Remember what they did to Sophie Cunningham during the preseason? The Mystics bullied her like she was some nobody. They shoved her around and acted like the Fever were just punching bags for their entertainment. That behavior set the tone for everything that followed. And that's Kiki Arafin, and I gotta tell you, here we go with the smile and like you've done. I don't get it. This is the worst part of the WNBA. It is. Then came the injury that changed everything. Caitlin Clark went down with a left quad strain on May 26th against the New York Liberty. The basketball world immediately wrote the Fever's obituary. Everyone said they were done without their superstar. 2 weeks minimum, they said. Maybe longer. Here's where it gets really brutal for Indiana. After Clark got hurt, they couldn't buy a win. First, the Liberty beat them. Then the Mystics embarrassed them on May 28th. Then the Connecticut Sun piled on May 31st. 3 straight losses, 3 games of everyone saying the same thing. The Fever are nothing without Caitlin Clark. The Mystics probably looked at their schedule and saw June 3rd circled as another easy win. Why wouldn't they? Indiana was falling apart. Their best player was sitting on the bench in street clothes. The team looked lost, confused, and completely outmatched every time they stepped on the court. But that's exactly what made this setup so perfect for revenge. The Mystics expected another punching bag. They expected the same broken team they beat just days earlier. Washington walked into that building thinking they were about to feast on a wounded animal. They had no idea what was coming. The Fever spent those dark days after the losing streak doing something the Mystics never expected. They weren't breaking down. They were building something that would make Washington regret every single moment of disrespect they had shown. With Caitlin Clark sidelined, who would step up to lead this revenge mission? The answer came from someone who had been Clark's backcourt partner over the last year. Kelsey Mitchell, the heart and soul of the franchise of almost a decade, suddenly found herself carrying the hopes of an entire franchise on her shoulders while their star player is sidelined. Mitchell knew what this game meant. She had been there when the Mystics embarrassed them just days earlier. She watched Washington treat her team like they didn't belong. The pressure was enormous. Everyone expected the Fever to fold without their superstar. Mitchell had to prove that Indiana was more than just one player. The early moments of the game told the story. The Fever needed someone to step up and take charge. Mitchell looked around the court and realized it had to be her. She had been playing professional basketball for years, but this felt different. This was her moment to show she could lead a team to victory when it mattered most. Here's where Mitchell's mindset became crucial. She wasn't thinking about individual stats or personal glory. She was thinking about getting revenge on the team that had disrespected her teammates. The Mystics had designed their defense specifically to stop her. They knew she would be the primary scoring threat without Clark. Mitchell had to find ways to break through their schemes. Mitchell started attacking the basket early. She moved the ball around and found open teammates. When Washington double-teamed her, she stayed calm and made the right play. Her three-point shooting became deadly. She hit shot after shot from beyond the arc, watching the Mystics scramble to adjust their defense. Kelsey Mitchell breaking out of her slump a little bit, making some big plays down the stretch. Also something that Kelsey Mitchell did late in that game, she got hit by McDonald with a pass. She moved without the ball. And Kelsey's the kind of player you can give her the ball and let her cook, clear out, but also it's going to make her tough to guard when she is able to be active without the ball in her hands. So that was a good sign, I think, for the Fever's offense and some of that motion offense that Stephanie White is trying to instill. The veteran guard shot 7 of 14 from the field and knocked down 4 of 7 three-pointers. But the real magic happened in the fourth quarter when Washington tried to mount a comeback. Mitchell sealed the deal by completing a crucial three-point play that extended the Fever's lead. The Mystics couldn't stop her when the game was on the line. She proved that the Fever had more than one dangerous scorer. Her teammate Eri McDonald praised her afterwards, saying, "She did everything amazingly and with such grace." The veteran had shown exactly what leadership looked like under pressure. Kelsey money, Mitch. Oh yeah. Take us home, Kels. Take us home. 24 points, 3 assists, 2 rebounds. It feels good to be coming here to you after this game. But here's what made Mitchell's performance even more special. She didn't just score points. She created opportunities for everyone else. Coach Stephanie White pointed out that the team had 21 assists on 30 made field goals. Mitchell's willingness to share the ball and trust her teammates opened up the entire offense. She had turned the Fever into a team that could beat anyone. Sometimes the best revenge comes from the players nobody saw coming. While Kelsey Mitchell grabbed the headlines, 2 other Fever players delivered the knockout punch that left Washington stunned. Lexie Hull and Eri McDonald turned this game into something the Mystics never expected. Lexie Hull, who continues to shine, Lexie Hull has just been terrific this season. She is shooting the ball at an unbelievable clip. Talk about drawing fouls, talk about energy, talk about plus-minus not being a deceiving stat. That is the case with Lexie Hull, who's plus 19 in this game, and it feels completely accurate, right? I mean, she's shooting 57% from 3 on the season going in. 52% from the field. I believe that's going in as well, but regardless, you get the point. Shooting the ball well. Let's talk about Hull first. While Lexie brought her usual hustle, she was completely invisible in the first half from an offensive standpoint. 0 points. The Mystics probably thought they had her figured out. She sat on the bench at halftime knowing her team needed more from her. But Hull stayed ready. She kept working. She waited for her moment to strike, but that's when the magic happened. Hull came out firing in the second half. She went 5 of 6 from the field in the third quarter alone. All 14 of her points came after halftime. She grabbed 6 rebounds and dished 4 assists. Hull turned into the player the Fever desperately needed. Here's where it gets crazy with Eri McDonald. The Fever signed her on an emergency hardship contract just days before this game. Think about that pressure. Clark was hurt. Sophie Cunningham was hurt. Sydney Colson was hurt. McDonald had to fly to Indianapolis, watch film on the plane, and learn the plays with the coaching staff. Then they threw her into the biggest revenge game of the season, dealing with a bit of a personnel problem when Clark goes down, and then Colson goes down, and then obviously Cunningham goes down to the point where, even without Clark, they didn't really have much of a capable backup, and then the backup goes down. By the way, shout out to Sydney Colson, who actually played well in this game. Really banged up, taking it on the chin for the Fever. That's another thing that McDonald did well. Also is put her body on the line. She doesn't have a guaranteed spot, so you got to give her respect for that. The risk was enormous. You don't put a brand new player in a high-stakes game like this. McDonald had played for Atlanta and Los Angeles before, but she had never worn a Fever uniform. She had to figure out her teammates' tendencies while trying to stop the same Mystics team that just embarrassed Indiana. McDonald was equally as impressive. She played 27 minutes and scored 7 points with 5 assists. But here's the best part. She drew 3 offensive fouls in her first 8 minutes. 3. McDonald became a dog on defense and disrupted everything Washington tried to do. Let's not leave out Eri McDonald. 2 for 7, 1 for 5 for 3. Maybe not your threes, but Eri McDonald. 5 assists. 0 turnovers. Welcome to Indiana, Eri. Welcome to 3 steals. One of them was a steal and score. Folks, You know what they say, first impressions mean everything, and Ari McDonald, first impression, I'm calling up Ronald right now. I'm calling up Ronald McDonald right now. I need a McSteals meal. I need a McAssist meal. I need a McHustle meal. Ari McDonald, oh, it feels good having a point guard that can dribble and not turn it over and get flustered when they see pressure. Oh, it feels good. It feels good. Hull said after the game, we needed her out there. She was huge on defense, huge drawing offensive fouls. I'm just so proud of her, and I'm happy she's here. Mitchell called McDonald the ultimate pro for learning the plays so quickly and contributing on both ends. The Mystics had no answer for either player. They expected the same broken team from May 28th. Instead, they got Hull scoring at will and McDonald creating chaos on defense. Coach Stephanie White called McDonald's performance exactly what we needed. What if losing Caitlin Clark for the short term was actually the best thing that could happen to this team this year? This win against Washington revealed something much bigger than just revenge. The Fever discovered they could trust each other without relying on one superstar to carry them. Every player on that court learned they belonged in clutch moments. Coach Stephanie White saw exactly what she wanted. The team recorded 21 assists on 30 made field goals. That's how we want to play. That's how we have to play in order for us to be successful, White said after the game. The ball moved around the court like magic. Players made the extra pass instead of forcing shots. They created better opportunities for everyone. Kelsey Mitchell found her leadership voice during the stretch. She wasn't just scoring 23 points. She was directing traffic on offense and making sure everyone stayed involved. Mitchell discovered she could be the veteran presence this young team desperately needed. She proved she belonged in that role when the lights got brightest. Our ability to drive and get angles and be able to find touch the paint with 2 feet and neither, score and or get these threes that you're talking about, it kind of just serves to everyone kind of getting a rhythm and everybody finding a way to kind of be impacted through the game. And I think the more that we do touch the paint, the more that we do get drives and play inside out through AB and DD in them like that, I think it is you're going to see more open up for us. And so I just think we've got to give ourselves some grace, but stay patient. Lexie Hull found something even more valuable. She discovered her clutch gene in that second half explosion. All 14 of her points came when the game mattered most. Hull learned she could take over quarters and change the momentum of entire games. That confidence doesn't just disappear when Clark comes back. A big focus for us is 0.5 basketball. Get the ball, do something with it. Either drive, pass, shoot, and just trying to make those right reads and make them quick. And I think that helps just when our spacing's good, those reads are way easier. And I think that's really what it comes down to. I think our team just played really well together, and we got to spots and we made the extra pass and we shot. I don't remember what they said, but a lot of our points were off of assists, and that's all we can really ask for a team. So just really, again, I'm just so happy with the outcome of the game and how everyone felt out there. It was fun. Then there's Ari McDonald solving their biggest problem this season. The Fever needed point guard depth desperately, especially with Sydney Colson not performing up to expectation. McDonald signed her emergency contract and immediately showed she belonged. 7 points and 5 assists in her debut, 3 steals that disrupted Washington's offense. Coach White called her defensive intensity exactly what the team needed. Her ability to integrate so quickly proves the Fever can add talent and make it work immediately. That kind of depth becomes dangerous when you add Clark back to the mix. The unbelievable job of coming in yesterday and really knowing the plays, kind of somebody said in the locker room, we feel like you need to play more than us, or, she just kind of was on it. And I think it just goes to serve, to show what pros are, how you're supposed to operate. And she did everything amazingly and with such grace. And I think for us, we could use where she brings us to the table offensively and defensively. She can guard the ball. She can get us all positioned to get shots. And I think where, importantly, she's fun to play with. So I think we get a collective great guard all the way around. Here's what makes this so exciting for 2025. Every player now knows they can step up when needed. Mitchell knows she can lead. Hull knows she can take over games. McDonald knows she can run the offense and lock down defensively. The role players have become legitimate weapons. Picture what happens when you combine this newfound team identity with Clark's return. The Fever won't just be a one-player team anymore. They'll have multiple players who can hurt you on any given night. Opponents can't just focus on stopping Clark when Aaliyah Boston, Mitchell and Hull, as well as a battle-tested bench, all pose serious threats. The team that learned to win together is about to get their superstar back. That combination creates the foundation for something special in Indianapolis. We did a good job of trying can't stay in it because when people score on you know how to stop it. It's always that thing that we just stay really, really resilient, because it could have went the opposite way. We would have had another conversation about things. We did a good job of staying grounded when they did make that run. And I believe that our team trusts one another in order to make and get stopped. So it's a collective effort. This 85-76 victory changed everything for the Fever's championship hopes. They proved they're not just Caitlin Clark plus 4 other players. They're a real team that can win when it matters most. Mitchell showed she can lead. Hull proved she can take over games. McDonald demonstrated she belongs in the rotation for 2025. The Fever play again this week without Clark. Watch how this team continues building something special. Every game teaches them they can compete with anyone in the league. The Washington Mystics learned something important that night. Bullies don't always win. Sometimes the team you picked on gets revenge. Show the team your support by commenting, "I've got the Fever" below.